Welcome to this explainer. If you're coming over from the Endpoint Weekly website, you know we're all about cracking those deeply frustrating enterprise IT mysteries. Today, we're taking on a massive headache for endpoint administrators: Windows Hello for Business silent provisioning failures. Let's skip the basics and dive straight into the deep end. So, for the IT directors and CEOs tuning in, this is the main symptom you're probably hearing from your help desk. Users log in, and instead of getting that nice, modern prompt to set up a secure PIN or fingerprint, they just get slapped with a standard password prompt. The provisioning engine basically quietly aborts. It doesn't throw an error, it doesn't give a warning, it just leaves your engineers flying completely blind. They have no idea where to look, and the root cause can stay hidden for days. Here is our triage plan. 1. The silent provisioning failure. 2. Investigating Event ID 360. 3. The TPM silent killer. 4. Identity, tokens, and sync. 5. Resolving Intune policy conflicts. And 6. Step-by-step remediation. Section 1. The silent provisioning failure. Think of Windows Hello for Business as a highly sensitive engine. It's designed to set up a hardware-bound key the exact second a user logs on. But here's the real kicker. It requires a very strict set of prerequisites to actually fire. If even one of those prerequisites is missing during that specific logon session, the whole process fails entirely silently. It skips the setup, it won't interrupt the user with some confusing error code, it just drops them right onto the desktop. It'll retry at the next login, sure, but it never automatically retries within the same session. Section 2. Investigating Event ID 360. Local IT admins, listen up, because this is your new home. Windows Hello for Business events did not live in the standard application or system logs where you might instinctively look. You really have to dig. You want to navigate down through applications and services logs into Microsoft, Windows, user device registration, and finally, the admin log. This is where the truth lives. Now, Event ID 360 is your ultimate gatekeeper here. It tells you exactly which error code blocked the process before it could even get off the ground, but you have to read the full description, not just the event number. If you see an error code ending in 0003, that means the device isn't Entra joined. Ending in 03F2, your policy simply isn't configured. You might also spot Event 362 for token failures or 363 if the TPM hardware is acting up. But Event 358? That's the absolute jackpot. That means all prerequisites are met and provisioning is finally launching. So what exactly is Event 360 looking for? Well, the device has to be Entra-joined or hybrid Entra-joined. The user absolutely must log in with Entra credentials, not some cached local account. The Hello policy has to be reaching the device via Intune. You need a functioning TPM 2.0, and the endpoint must be able to reach Microsoft's STS login servers. Fail even one of these checks, Event 360 triggers, and boom, provisioning is skipped entirely until the next attempt. Section 3. The TPM silent killer. Let's talk hardware. The TPM is the root of trust for your Windows Hello private key. The crucial point here is that if you are modernizing your environment with Cloud Trust, which is the recommended deployment path right now, legacy TPM 1.2 hardware is going to silently kill your provisioning. Why? Because TPM 1.2 completely lacks support for attestation, which modern cloud deployments demand. If you want Cloud Trust to work, TPM 2.0 is effectively mandatory. But hey, even with TPM 2.0, you're not totally out of the woods. Enter Event ID 1026. This hits when the hardware actually locks itself down after way too many failed pen attempts. The TPM basically enters a lockout state and enforces a cooldown period. Your key creation will silently fail, and you won't even find this in the usual logs. You actually have to go hunting in the primary system log under TPM WMI. Now, when an admin sees a locked TPM, the very first instinct is usually just to clear it. I cannot stress this enough to you endpoint engineers. Do not clear the TPM without backing up user data. Clearing it destroys all keys protected by the TPM, including your BitLocker volume keys. Always, always verify your BitLocker recovery keys in Entra before you touch a locked TPM. Otherwise, congratulations, you've just turned that device into an unbootable brick. Section 4. Identity, tokens, and sync. If you run into Event ID 362, which is an enterprise TS authentication failure, it almost always means your user is missing a primary refresh token, or PRT. And without a valid PRT, the provisioning engine just can't authenticate to EntraID to register the new key credential. Why would the PRT be missing? Well, the user might have logged on with a cached local account, or maybe a conditional access policy is actively blocking the token because the device briefly fell out of compliance.
Or honestly, it could just be simple network issues blocking the endpoint from reaching login.microsoftonline.com.
If you're running a hybrid environment, keep the number 30 burned into your brain. Windows Hello uses an attribute in Active Directory to store the public key. Once it registers with EntraID in the cloud, EntraConnect has to sync it all the way back to your on-premises AD, and that takes a default of 30 minutes. You can force a Delta sync with PowerShell, but otherwise, you just have to wait. And we all know 30 minutes of IT downtime feels like 30 years. Section 5. Resolving Intune Policy Conflicts. As the Intune console has evolved, Microsoft deprecated a lot of the older profile types. This creates a massive headache where legacy identity protection profiles conflict with the newer account protection settings. If you accidentally have both deployed at the same time, you are going to get Event ID 360 with that 03F2 error code. You have got to migrate all of your settings over to Endpoint Security account protection profiles. Pick a single delivery mechanism and stick to it.
Let's look at how this directly impacts CloudTrust, which is highly recommended for Windows 11 because it gets rid of all that complex on-prem certificate syncing. A super common trap is leaving the Use certificate for on-premises auth setting enabled. Because CloudTrust uses Kerberos tickets directly, leaving that old certificate setting turned on totally breaks the Kerberos flow. It makes the engine look for infrastructure that simply isn't there anymore. So for CloudTrust, that setting absolutely must be disabled.
Section 6. Step-by-step remediation. All right, here is your ultimate cheat sheet to fix this. Step 1. Check for Event ID 360 in the User Device Registration Admin log and actually read the error code. Step 2. Run ds regcommand.status as the affected user to confirm you've got a PRT and are properly Entra joined. Step 3. Verify your TPM is ready and hasn't locked you out. Step 4, clear out any of those Intune account protection policy conflicts we just talked about. Step 5, verify your EntraConnect sync if you're hybrid. And Step 6, the golden rule, provisioning only triggers at logon, so make sure to sign out and sign back in. Follow this exact triage order, and if successful, you'll finally see Event ID 358, followed by that glorious PIN setup prompt. So, I'll leave you with this question. Is your provisioning failing silently right now? How many of your users are out there stuck typing complex passwords every single day just because a legacy TPM or some forgotten Intune policy is quietly blocking their PIN setup? Take this explainer, go open up your event logs, and find out exactly what your systems have been quietly trying to tell you. Happy troubleshooting.